Today, we're diving into one of the biggest under-the-hood upgrades to India's economy in years. We're talking about a complete overhaul of how the country measures inflation. Now, I know, it sounds a little technical, but trust me, this one change has a ripple effect on everything from your personal savings to the nation's biggest economic decisions. Take a look at this number, 2.75%. That was India's official retail inflation for January 2026. Seems simple enough, right? But the engine that produced this number is brand new, a totally revamped system for calculating the real cost of living in India. And here's the kicker. This isn't just a small update. It's basically an admission that for over a decade, the way India was measuring this crucial number was out of sync with how people actually live. So what exactly changed? And why is it such a big deal?
All right, so before we get into the makeover, let's just quickly get on the same page. What even is the CPI?
The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, is pretty much what it sounds like, a giant national shopping basket. The government fills this imaginary basket with all the things an average family buys. Food, gas, clothes, rent. Then they track how the total price of that basket changes over time. And that change, that's what we call inflation. But here's the thing. The accuracy of that final inflation number depends entirely on what's in the basket. And for a long, long time, India's basket was seriously out of date. Get this, the old system was based on how people spent their money all the way back in 2012. I mean, just stop and think for a second about how much our world has changed in those 12 years. The explosion of smartphones, online shopping, streaming everything, our lives are completely different. To really paint a picture for you, the old basket still had items that are basically museum artifacts now, things like VCRs and cassette players. Seriously, it was like trying to understand today's vibrant digital economy by looking at a blurry black and white photo. So, to fix this massive disconnect, the government launched this huge project to build a new CPI from the ground up, one that actually reflects the India of today. Now, under the old system, just look at that giant slice for food. It was nearly 46% of the entire index. This meant that a bad monsoon or a sudden spike in tomato prices could send the whole national inflation number haywire, even if nothing else in the economy changed. But the new basket, well, it shows a massive shift in how we live. Food's importance has dropped to about 37%, while housing has almost doubled its share, jumping to nearly 18%. This captures that fundamental change in spending, moving from just basic food needs to lifestyle costs like better housing and getting around. And the basket didn't just get rebalanced, it got bigger, going from 299 items to 358. And it's now packed with things we all actually use every day: streaming subscriptions, booking flights online, and modern electronics. And this is huge. For the first time ever, it's tracking house rent in rural India, giving us a much clearer view of the rural economy. The whole system is also now aligned with a global UN framework. Don't worry about the long name. What it means is simple. We go from looking at 6 broad spending groups to 12 really detailed ones. This gives policymakers a much sharper tool, and for the first time, lets us compare India's data directly with other major economies around the world. And it's not just what they're tracking, but how. The whole data collection process got a 21st century upgrade. They're surveying more markets, field officers are using tablets for instant data entry instead of old paper forms, and they're pulling prices straight from e-commerce sites and government sources for things like fuel. It's just a faster, more accurate system all around. Okay, so we've got a new basket, we've got new tech, but what does this all actually mean for the country or for you? Why does this matter? Well, think about it like this. The Reserve Bank of India, the institution that sets our interest rates, was essentially navigating with an old, outdated map. This new CPI is like handing them a live, high-fidelity GPS. And better data leads to better decisions on interest rates, which, as you know, directly impacts everything from your home loan to your investments. There's also a really important strategic upside. Because food has less weight, the main inflation number is less, jumpy. It's not as easily thrown off by a sudden weather event. This lets the RBI look past the short-term noise and focus on the deeper, core inflation trends, which should lead to more stable and predictable economic policy for everyone. The new index also gives us this incredible granular detail. Just look at these wild price swings from January 2026. Silver jewelry prices shot up by almost 160%. Meanwhile, the price of garlic collapsed by over 50%. This kind of detail lets policymakers see exactly where the pressure points are in the economy.
And that amazing detail also applies to geography. For the first time, we're getting monthly inflation data broken down by state. So look here. While the all-India average was 2.75%, inflation in Telangana was way up at nearly 5%. We can now see these huge regional economic differences that were completely hidden before. And maybe the most important change of all is the commitment to the future. This isn't just a one-time fix. The plan is to update this basket every 3 to 5 years. It means India's most important economic thermometer will never be allowed to fall this far behind reality again.
So, in the end, we've moved from a blurry, old photograph to a live, high-definition video of the Indian economy. As this clearer picture comes into focus month after month, the real question is, what new truths will we uncover, and how will it change the way we understand our own economic lives?